Hello there everybody, it's Joe here, and welcome back once again to my F122 My Team Career Mode. This campaign continues here at Austin at the Circuit of Americas for the US Grand Prix. If you haven't seen the last one from Singapore, do go and check that one out before you check this one out. This is your last chance before spoilers. Singapore ended in disappointment. We didn't really have top running pace, but we had enough to be in the top 4 or 5, and we were fighting Albon for 4th until in the end our engine let us down. But it's good news. We have more upgrades that have arrived here at Austin, so we are now going to have a charging end to the season. Hopefully the last 3 races will be kind to us, and I feel like with the pace we have, we really have a chance at being right up there and maybe getting a couple more podiums, hopefully grabbing that elusive first win before the season is out. But first things first, Q1, and we set a time that got us through quite nicely, and we were only 3 tenths off of Lando's pace, and I wasn't even particularly pushing on that lap. As we now go into Q2, I'm starting to see where I can push, figure out where I can gain that little bit of extra time needed to get myself even further within the top 10. Q2 and that low sun, I tell you what, that low sun is very off-putting there. That is a very low sun. It is only P7 in Q2, but that was enough to get us through, and now we're in the final part of qualifying, and I'm giving it absolutely everything and maybe just a little bit more. Heading towards the end of Sector 3 now, this long sweeping right-hander. The sun starting to set on this magnificent Austin evening. 2 left-handers to go. 1 left-hander to go. Where is this lap going to put us? We really got ourselves straightened up nicely out of the last corner.
Fantastic, you've got pole position.
And it's pole position here in Austin. After a couple of shaky races, we are back on form with a much needed pole position. Can we finally convert it into a win?
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3, Joker, Norris and Fernando Alonso. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid line up for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race. Welcome once again then to the United States Grand Prix here in the magnificent city of Austin. It was here in 2018 that Kimi Raikkonen delighted the world by taking the top step of the podium for the first time in 114 races. There's always a record to be broken, so what, I wonder, is in store for us today? We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, where 20 corners and speeds of up to 200 miles per hour await us on this magnificent racetrack. It's 60% full throttle with plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the long back straight into turn 12. What a race we have in store today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Joker lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Fernando Alonso, Leclerc, Carlos Sainz and Perez. Verstappen, Gasly, Ocon and Lance Stroll. Vettel, Albon, they've taken a grid penalty. George Russell and Joe. Ticktum, Mick Schumacher, Felipe Drugovich and Oscar Piastri. Magnussen, Latifi, Hamilton and Yuki Tsunoda. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? With me today, of course, is Natalie Pinkham. Why don't we start by talking about Carlos Sainz? They need to win in order to ensure they stay in contention for the championship. Anything outside of that, and their fate is no longer in their hands.
And they can do it for sure, as long as they don't dwell too much on the position. At the end of the day, there's only one way to go racing, and that's to give it everything you've got. Either your best is good enough to stay in the hunt, or it's not. There's no point giving any less than 100%.
The formation lap gets underway, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out. We're almost ready to take the start of the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
So, 3 races to go then, and we are about to start round 14 here. We got Lando Norris alongside us, and behind us in third is Fernando Alonso. And he'll be thinking, how quickly can he finally get his 3rd world title wrapped up? He will want a strong finish here to get him into prime position to grab that title in the next race. But for now, the championship goes down at least to Portimao, which will be the next race. But we're now racing in Austin. It's lights out and away we go. Okay start from me. I go to cover Lando Norris. But look at the fast starting Fernando Alonso. He got away like a rocket ship. Leclerc trying to take 2nd place. Me, Norris and Leclerc went side by side, and Leclerc really didn't win out of that. But Alonso, look at the gap he's got. I think I've made a mistake there. Yes, I have, and I've gone down to 3rd. It's really not a strong start for us. It's a fantastic start for the 2 McLarens, who are now 1 and 2 off the start. Right, my POV. It's lights out and away we go in Austin. I go to cover Norris, but I didn't have any idea how quick Alonso was going to be off the line. And before I could even think to going back to cover, he's gone through. Leclerc and Norris are banging wheels. I'm trying to stay down the inside and trying not to hit either of them. And I think Leclerc may have taken slight damage from banging wheels with Norris. You see where I get it wrong there in sector 1. Too much speed into one of the corners. I go wide. I lose the place. So I don't know if Leclerc has damage or not, but it's currently a McLaren 1-2 out front. And Perez and Leclerc are disputing 4th place, but we're trying to get a nice little gap out. I'm just thinking at this stage, let's just build a lead to the guys behind. I'll focus on going after the 2 McLarens maybe a bit later on. And speaking of 2 teammates, there's 2 teammates that are getting a little bit too close. Sebastian Vettel going into Lance Stroll. He's now taken damage in the Aston Martin. And, well, you can clearly see he's got damage from just how much he's backing up Verstappen, Albon, Russell and co behind him. Oscar Piastri down in 14th. Come on, lad. We need you in the points here. Look at the cars battling behind Vettel. Vettel pulls into the pits and Albon wants to go down the inside of Max Verstappen. Albon trying to force the issue. He's got past, but Vettel was in the pits. And Verstappen is coming back at Albon. Side by side down the pit straight. Verstappen going to the outside. Albon trying to keep the inside line. Keeping that momentum. And for now, keeping the place. Right, here comes Carlos Sainz on Sergio Perez. And Carlos getting that move done quite nicely. But at the end of lap 2, the 2 McLarens already starting to build a little bit of a lead on me. At this stage of the race, the 2 McLarens just having the outright race pace advantage on me. But I'm sitting pretty in 3rd. I'm going to bide my time. Leclerc has dropped back over 2 seconds. So surely that little bang with Norris at the start of the race has damaged his car just a little bit. Here comes Carlos Sainz now on his teammate. This is going to be a move up the inside. And for sure, Sainz is going to be through here. And I think he is. Yes, he is. Sainz getting that move done. Leclerc trying to fight back on the exit, but just doesn't have the outright speed or traction to fight back. Sainz up to P4. And Lando Norris, well, the gap between me and Norris is starting to stabilise a bit at 1.5 seconds. But Alonso is getting the job done out front, and he is driving away. absolutely dominating this race so far are the two McLarens, but I'm hanging back in third, waiting for an opportunity to come to me. If I can keep the gap as it is, and then maybe find a bit more pace, we might be able to edge towards these two. And I'm also thinking what we can do in terms of strategy. Right, Perez has been held up for a lap behind Charles Leclerc, but he's now going down the inside. He's had enough of being behind the Ferrari, and look who's lurking in the background. It's Esteban Ocon in the Alfa Romeo. He's had an absolutely dreadful season so far, but this is a wonderful day for him. Right back in the top 10, in the points. That'll be where he'll want to be. His season for Alfa Romeo so far pointless. Can he score his first points today? Right, now we have closed in to the DRS zone of Lando Norris, and even Fernando Alonso at the moment just seems to be controlling the pace out front. But I think he'll want to get a move on when he knows how much pace we've got, and the fact that we're now keeping Lando Norris busy, although we're going a little bit wide there, which isn't going to help our progress at all. But we're giving McLaren something to think about now, and I'm certainly thinking strategy-wise, I might try and go a bit longer and have fresher tyres towards the end. Right, we're a lot closer to Lando Norris though, coming down this straight this time. Are we going to be close enough to get the move done? We're closing in even more, but I don't think we've quite got close enough yet. Although we're very nearly getting close enough to giving Lando Norris a little bit of a love tap there, but we're not quite close enough to pull off an overtake yet. But we're just sitting in that DRS zone, and I'm on the attack, I'm on the push. But again, we're just not close enough, and I've gone way too deep that time, missing my braking spot. That's not going to help matters. Meanwhile, Albon is making his way through the field. He's just going for Gasly in P7, but Gasly braking that a little bit later and then parking it on the apex. That is supreme defence there by Pierre Gasly, giving Alex Albon just a little bit of frustration there as we ride on board with myself. I've gone a couple of laps longer than I would have wanted. Alonso is now in the pit, and I've taken this opportunity to follow him in. Right, Alonso peeling in. He's going to peel out before I even get to my garage. That's a very solid stop by the McLaren driver. Here's hoping we can have the same. Where is this going to put us out? I've got a couple of laps longer than Lando. I'm hoping he gets held up in the traffic of those who haven't pitted. But through goes Lando, and in fact staying out has actually cost us a couple of seconds, but my tyres are going to be 2 to 3 laps younger now than what Lando Norris's tyres are, and it's time to get a move on and use that advantage. I know we have that. We had a little bit of a pace advantage just before the pit stops, but now we've got a few laps newer tyres that'll work in our favour, and you can see it's already starting to work with a fastest lap of the race. Here I come then, it's lap 18. Not long to go now. Can we make the difference towards the end of this race? That win is tantalisingly close, but we have 2 papaya cars, neither of which will be easy to overtake, right in our way. Here comes Alex Albon, making another overtake. This time he's trying on George Russell, but Russell again doing what Gasly did and parking it on the apex. Next time round though, Albon's going to have a go. This time he gets properly alongside. Russell braking later, but again proving a complete defence for Albon. Lap 20 however, here comes Albon, this time moving his way to the inside, and surely the Alpine is going to be through. And yes, Alex Albon gaining a position. Right, we are now much closer to Lando Norris than we have been all race. Norris goes to cover, but he then comes back across under the braking. I don't know, that's a little bit cheeky there by Norris, because after he defended to the inside, we moved to the right, and Lando just slightly moved and then braked. But whatever, it is what it is. Lando goes to cover here. I've gone for the outside. I've braked way too late and gone deep. Norris holding the position. And that Alonso is going to be rubbing his hands together at that, because the more time I spend fighting Lando Norris, the longer it's going to take me to catch Fernando. But here we go on the straight. Overtake, DRS at our disposal. Norris goes to the inside, but we're finding some space on the inside to take, and it is going to be a dive down the inside. A very decent overtaking manoeuvre there. Stuck up to our grounds, found the space. He left us a car's width, which is what we took, and in the end, better car positioning, and we got ourselves into P2, and now we can start chasing Fernando Alonso. And I feel like at the rate we're catching, we will probably do it on the last lap, and we will get one attempt to get past. I'm checking to see where Lando Norris is, as to what, just in case he does try anything, but no, now he's 2 seconds behind, and the gap has come down to 2 seconds. We are taking chunks of time out of Fernando, and like I said, I think we're going to get one shot at getting past, and that will be on the last lap of the race. But for now, we are sitting pretty in second place, just reeling him in. But that's a little bit wide into the first corner, and the safety car's out. Oh, that's going to close everything up. What have we got? A safety car? Oh, that's Alex Albon. That is such a shame for him. He really had made up quite a few positions in this race, so it's a shame to see him spin. And, well, that's not gone well for him at all. And that's Max Verstappen out. One of the championship contenders is now out of the race. And that's Charles Leclerc gone too. Unbelievable. 2 championship contenders pulling over to retire in the closing stages of this US Grand Prix under the safety car. The safety car pits. We resume racing. Alonso leads. I'm second, Norris third, Sainz fourth. And just like that, the championship balance has swung massively towards the favour of Fernando Alonso here in this US Grand Prix, because he is going to win the race, and Charles Leclerc is on no points. Max Verstappen is on no points. But can we rain on Alonso's parade? It's the final lap of the race. I've got no DRS. We have to try and make the difference up. No way through into turn 1. Can we stay close enough towards the end of this lap to try and displace Fernando Alonso? It is not the first sector so far that we'd want, and in fact, we haven't positioned this perfectly at all. Alonso doing right now what would appear to be enough to clear us, so we don't have the toe down the straight that will get us close enough to make an overtake. If we had DRS, we could probably do it, but without DRS, we just don't have enough. Can we make up ground on the straight? I'm just going to literally use all of my overtake as we power down the straight. Alonso 7/10 clear, and I think he has just about got enough on us to do this. It looks like we are going to have to settle for a third, second place finish of this season. I'm going to try a desperate little dive there, but that was never going to work. Maybe just frighten Alonso a little bit, but Fernando had us covered. It's going to be a third, second place finish, but Fernando Alonso puts one hand on that championship title and wins the US Grand Prix, but it's a third podium for us. Oh, that win is so near yet so far, but I will take that. It's good to be back on the podium again after a difficult couple of races.
That's it then for another magnificent United States Grand Prix, and they have hung on to take a sublime victory here today. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure. And no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight. So let's have a quick look at how
Well, that was a dominant win by Fernando Alonso, and he proved once again that he can handle sustained pressure right at the end of the race. We had 2 laps after the safety car to really push him, but Fernando was just flawless. But it's P2, and the win is right there. It is coming. Can we get it by the end of this season, or will we have to wait for Season 3? Who knows? But the win for Fernando Alonso, he has got one hand now on his 3rd world title, and it is going to take a lot at this stage to stop him from acquiring that 3rd world title that he so desperately wants to achieve. But we got P2, Lando Norris then rounding out the podiums. It's a double podium for McLaren. Sainz finishing 4th, which is not ideal considering he is one of the championship contenders. Perez gets 5th, and Esteban Ocon finally gets some points on the board for Alfa Romeo in a very decent showing there in P6. Gasly is 7th, the 2 Mercedes 8th and 9th, and Mick Schumacher in the Haas grabbing that final point. After that, it is Zhou Guanyu, Latifi and Piastri 11th, 12th and 13th, and Oscar, come on lad, I need more from you here. But there's the championship gap now, 34 points to Carlos Sainz, and one can't help but feel with 2 races to go, Alonso's got it in the bag at this stage. Sainz moves up to 2nd ahead of his teammate Leclerc after Leclerc's DNF. Norris moves up to 4th ahead of Verstappen after Max DNF'd, and Max Verstappen now is out of the championship hunt. There are only 3 drivers now realistically that, well, mathematically that can take it, but realistically it's going to take such a stretch for them to do it. And we're now sitting pretty in 5th in the Constructors. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button for more content from me. Until the next time, TTFN, guys. Ta-ta for now. Big love.